And the half-time whistle sounds, and that formula, Kevin De Bruyne assist, Erling Haaland goal, has once again undone another defence. City, to be absolutely truthful, were not at their very best. Southampton had a few scary moments with the pace of Sulemana causing the Blues problems. But right on half-time, De Bruyne with a cross, Haaland with a header. At half-time at St Mary's, Southampton 0, City 1. Well, let's go back to the studio where we can join Natalie Pike alongside Paul Dickov and Shaun Goater.
Well, coming up in a few minutes, we're going to meet former Saints legend Ken.
Welcome back to Match Day Live. I'm joined in the studio still by Shaun Goater and Paul Dickov as City take the lead against Southampton. 100 Premier League assists for Kevin De Bruyne, 29 Premier League goals this season for Erling Haaland. Gentlemen, Erling Haaland, just how good is he?
Do you know, I was going to say hurry up.
Paul, are you OK?
I was taking
Are you OK? Well, he doesn't need many touches, does he, Shaun?
No, he doesn't. And for ages, we were sitting there thinking, I think it was 25 minutes in, I said, I don't think he's touched the ball. But we said his dream is still going to be on, because he has this dream of touching the ball very little times, but scored like 3 or 4 goals. But he pops up just at a time where we're thinking we ain't really created much. And he gets on the end of this. But who else? Kevin De Bruyne. It's one of those. It's just delightful. He's thinking, yes, this is a goal. Gets on the end of it. So pleased for him, because he had the other chance. But it wasn't. I think it was more difficult than it actually looks, because it's close. The previous one, it looks as though it's an easy chance, but it's actually more difficult because the angle is coming from, the ball's sort of dropping, and he's trying to just steer it, but phenomenal play. I think this will, brilliant time to go in half-time, and I think this will just ignite us now as well. 100
Premier League assists for Kevin De Bruyne, Paul. He's only the 5th player ever to do it. He's the fastest player by, an absolute mile to get there as well. And this partnership the two of them have got now. I'd like to know, actually, if anyone knows, how many assists Kevin De Bruyne to Erling Haaland for goals this season. But phenomenal partnership.
Yeah, it was. And look, when the game's a little bit scrappy as it was as well, you look for your big players to come up with a moment of quality. And as soon as he cuts in his right foot, and that's where that relationship between Erling and Kevin's so good. As soon as he cuts back, Erling just makes a beeline for the middle of the goal, because he knows the ball's going to come in. And fantastic header, and big players in tight games come up for it. We weren't at our best, but even if it'd come in 0-0, I still would have said that that's the best we've seen of Southampton, if that makes any sense. They're not going to get any better than that. So, but to get the goal just before half-time is fantastic, and the big man's in again.
Yeah, I definitely think it's fair to say we haven't been at our best. We're still on 69% possession for that first half, Shaun. We started really quick, first 15 minutes dominated, but as the half grew on, Southampton got more and more into the game without really, though, having any huge clear-cut chances, apart from maybe one we'll come to.
Yeah, I give Southampton a bit of credit, because they surprised me. I thought, new manager comes in, I guess he's thinking, no one's really going to expect them to do anything, and they've actually sort of tried to take the game to City in terms of the pressing. And so we saw times when they were up high pressing, which I thought was brave, and City on the day can pick apart that. We've just not been at it today to be able to really pick it apart. But I think there'll be points within the second half that we'll do that. We'll sort of pick them apart and then find ourselves creating great opportunities. But I really give a lot of the credit in terms of their first half with Southampton being brave, not being nervous that it's such an important game for them, and just going out and playing. But I think we look forward to second half. I think we'll get better as Paul says. I think that's the best that they've given.
The big chance for Southampton came in that first half from Sulemana when he was through on goal. It was a mistake by City from the corner. We lost the ball in midfield, but he took off, Paul, didn't he? Tell us, how good was the defending by Nathan Ake?
It was fantastic. We said it straight away. All Sulemana wants to do there is cut in his right-hand side. He's predominantly right-footed. He doesn't really trust himself on his left foot, and he's constantly looking to do it. But Nathan's body shape and defensive. It just gives him enough. It doesn't get too close to him, so he's got to dive in. He just gives him half a yard, but his body shape makes sure that he's got to go on his left. And as soon as he takes that big touch, that's when Ederson can come out, and Nathan, clever, nudges him a little bit into it. But it's fantastic defending, but great experience as well. You know, but that's where the homework comes. They would have looked at the Southampton players. They would have looked at Soleimani as defenders before the game with analysts and sat there and went, look, but this is what he wants to do. He wants to come on his right foot all the time. If you show him his left, you're going to give yourself a chance. And it was fantastic defending. Yeah,
interesting on the corner where we actually, I think it's weird because where De Bruyne was, he was so close to sort of the D of the 18-yard. And it seemed as though when the ball got past him, I think it was a spurting moment sort of thing, as opposed to a set piece, thinking, I could get it to him. He could have a touch, either cross it or have a touch and have a shot. Because the ball travelled the best part of about 30 metres. And so because it travelled so long, that allowed the pressure to step out and just intercept it. And I think if it was a set piece, I think De Bruyne would have known it was coming and went to it quicker, if that makes sense. So as it's come to him, the lads come, Sterling, and as Paul said, I mean, Nathan Ackley, it was brilliant defending. Saying, you are not going on your right foot. This is where you're going. And at the right time, he says, once he has that big touch, he changes pace to try to get there, but then also keeper comes out, Addison comes out and smothers. So brilliant bit of defending.
He panics Soleimani. Soleimani knows he's quicker than Nathan Ake, and Nathan Ake knows he's quicker than him. But the longer it goes, that's how he ended up getting the big touch. They thought, oh no, I'm not going to be able to do this here, and that's where it goes. So great defending. And it was brave from Ederson as well. He really dives in there. Yeah, he does. We all say goalkeepers are daft, aren't they?
Yeah, they're daft.
To dive in, getting in, but
being switched on, because
absolutely
doing so little, but then have to be switched on because he could time it wrong. And get it wrong and sort of give up a penalty. So, the fact that he hasn't had a lot to do, to be switched on to get that timing right is also important. And that's the important bit with goalkeepers. Sometimes you're in games and you're not really doing much, and all of a sudden you've got to come up with your timing of coming out to intercept the ball or dive at a player's feet. And he's got that spot on because, again, he can be cold as in not a lot of action. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, his timing has to be spot on. If he gets it wrong, half a yard, and he gets a penalty for them. If David James was here now, you can hear him, can't you? How much he's praising Ederson's bravery there for sure. So we got you. We hear you, David. One of the other big moments of the game was, well, I don't know. I'm not actually sure if it was a big moment, Paul. There was a penalty shout, but I think we were all fairly unanimous about it. What did you make of it? I just think Ward-Prowse, his hands too close to his body for it to be given, and the ball it's quite low as well. The difference, I don't actually know what the difference is if your arm's there or there. Yeah. But the way the rules are at the minute, if his hand's close to his body and the ball hits it, it's not a penalty, but it has diverted, because Jack's been very clever there. Him and Kevin have interlinked really well, and if it doesn't hit his hand, Kevin's through in and goal. So it's one of them, but the rules state if it's that close to the body, and I don't even think they looked at it in the end. Yeah, I think when the actual cross came in as well, it was the best part of 2 or 3 metres, so, Again, it's being crossed, so it's got some pace on it. It's so difficult for a defender. Sounds like I'm defending him, but I just think it's one of those. You just can't get your hand out the way in that quick a time. And don't get me started on handball, because I don't really like the rule. I'm old school. Handball's handball. Yeah. It's clear for everybody to see then. There's no arguments. We're not talking about it. If it hits your hand, it's handball, regardless of how harsh it is. Yes, if only the law was that simple, eh? Because it certainly is not. In terms of Southampton, we've mentioned, Shaun, that they played well in that first half. Yeah. There was a sense, though, certainly a sense that I get by being a City fan quite often in City games, that we just needed to be patient. We just needed to wait. We just needed to keep going. They weren't having any huge moments, and our moment would come. And it did. And it did. And again, Southampton were pushing. You see Kyle Walker-Peters pushing on that left side, driving, trying to create stuff. And that's a sign that they're feeling more confident when you see him in particular at Southampton driving down, trying to create stuff. But we also know that this, our team, City, is capable of putting together 3-4 goals in the space of like 5 minutes, which is crazy. So there wasn't a panic. It was just, for me, set watching. It's a case of, we're not quite on the same level as this that we're normally at. but we know that we can put that together. And in that short little piece, we saw, again, the Bruyne receiver ball, controls it. He's got that time. We know what beautiful delivery he can deliver. Erling Haaland's thinking, this is the one I want. I'm going in. I see the ball clear as day. See the goalkeeper. I see the goal. I'll see you on the halfway line as well.
Yeah.
Kevin stepped it up the last 10 minutes. It was as if to say, look, we're not at our best here. They're getting a little bit of joy. Now I'm going to be the man that's going to get us out of it. He had a little ball over his shoulder on the volley that he put into Jack, and then he went in the overlap that he chipped to the back post.
Yeah.
When Erling nearly scored, and then obviously the ball in, and that's what the best players do, the top players. When things aren't quite right, they take it upon themselves and say, right, this is going to be me that's going to change this game, and that's what happened.
I love it when Kevin De Bruyne switches it on, and there is still a feeling that, yeah, and we said it in the pre-match show as well, we've got gears that we can still step up.
Yeah, we have. We've got these gears. I mean, I'm when I think of Stones there in midfield, there are times he's that far across as a right back. He's like in the left midfield sort of area, but it requires him to be there to occupy their players, which then creates that space on the right-hand side. So when the ball shifts, so I'd say that when we're in those situations then, is can we move that ball on the opposite side? Because then what he's done, he's brought in their wide player, and it allows us to get that ball out to Mahrez a little bit quicker. But
we talk about creating overloads in wide areas, but with John Stones in there, we create it in the middle of the park because we've got 4 against their 3, and that's then allowing Kevin to go and break because he's the free man that's in there.
Yeah.
Now, I want to ask you about changes in the second half, but we've got a great question that ties into that on the WhatsApp. Thank you always for sending in your WhatsApp questions. The number's on the screen now. If you'd like to get them in, I will ask some more at full time as well. Zach asks, what more does Julian Alvarez need to do to get a consistent run as a starter?
Just be patient.
Yeah, and I'd say ask Pep. I mean, listen, he's doing everything that you want. You want a player to be putting pressure on the other striker. He's doing everything. When he comes in, he's playing well and scoring goals at times, linking up and playing the role that Pep wants. I don't think he can do any more. I think, as Paul says, it's just being patient. And his role is important. It's so important because we know Haaland typically is scoring every game or every other game, but his role is important because he comes in the other day and he scores. And it's like, he's chipping in with valuable goals that's helping the team as well. So he's just got to keep doing what he's doing and just be patient.
You've just got to, when you sign for Man City, you've got to buy into the squad and the squad ethic. It's not Julian Alvarez is sitting there, World Cup winner, but then he's looking to his right. He's got Kyle Walker there, and he's got Laporte, he's got Bernardo Silva. So it's not just him. I think if it had just been him and a bunch of kids on the bench, no disrespect to the kids, you might be thinking, but there's world-class players all the way through the team.
So in terms of changes, I mean, half-time we rarely see any, Shaun. Are you expecting any changes in the second half?
The only one I could imagine would be Haaland maybe after about 15 minutes, thinking about the injury that he's come back and not allowing him, not forcing him to overstretch in terms of the physicality of the game. I could see him probably 15 minutes, somewhere between 15 20 minutes, and saying, thank you very much, you've done your job, come off, and the likes of Alvarez and others potentially coming on. So, but yeah, I don't see nothing, certainly in half-time. It was interesting because I saw Rodolfo, there was a point sort of midway through the half, before the goal, and, I seen Rodolfo on his pad, and he's sort of like looking at solutions and different things. So it'd be interesting to see if City come out with doing something tactically slightly different, because I'm sure he'd have thrown in some ideas to Pep to just switch it up so that we can get not more control of the game, but more consistency in our control, if that makes sense.
I think as long as it's 1-0 and tight like that, I don't think there'll be many changes at all. I think if we get the second goal, then the last sort of 20-25 minutes, it gives Pep the licence to bring in some fresh legs, with Tuesday obviously in mind.
Rodolfo, who of course is one of Pep's assistant coaches, assistant managers as well. Lovely. So you can see behind us the players are back in the tunnel. So get your second half commentary from the wonderful Alistair Mann and brilliant Michael Brown on the Manchester City app. It is free. Listen to that. It's the best place to get your full match commentary. Hopefully Erling Haaland gets to 60 minutes, by the way. He's my captain in fantasy football, so that would be nice. Right, we'll be back here at full time where hopefully we're talking about another 3 points for Manchester City. Enjoy the commentary with Alistair Mann and Michael Brown, and we'll be back with you in 45 minutes.
Thanks, Natalie. Welcome back to St Mary's Stadium. 4 times this season, Southampton have come from behind to, at the very least, get a draw. Indeed, in their last home game against Spurs, they were 1 down and 3-1 down and earned themselves a draw. The other 3 occasions